Hey guys, Simply Betty here. Today is the last day of the February daily video challenge. I have done a video every single day for the past 28 days. Actually 29 because I also did it the last day of January too. So it's been a big month. It's definitely been more quantity over quality, but just for the month. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that just for a short period of time. I'm gonna go back to my quality over quantity mindset. Looking at my videos, I only have like just over 100 videos on my channel, and about 60 of those are from the daily February video challenges I've done, which is just crazy to think about. If I wouldn't have done those videos, I'd be down to like 40 or 50 videos. But I'm thankful to have done them because it's good practice. It gets me going every single day, and it makes me fast. It makes me not be a perfectionist about videos and just kind of get them out, which I think is actually a good thing sometimes. But for today, I thought it'd be fun to collect some questions, which I've done this month, and answer them, and that way I can kind of engage with people a little bit more. So that's what I'm gonna do. Now, there were a lot of questions, and I'm not gonna be able to get to everybody's, but I'll try my best to do as many as I can, especially because a lot of them were pretty similar, so I'm gonna pick and choose and maybe get the best worded one. So sorry if you asked me a question and I didn't choose it. Nothing personal. I just had to be a little bit selective. So the first question is from Benoit. Hey Taylor, how did you get into betta breeding? I've just been interested in this spunky little fish for so long. I just think that they're so personable and colorful and popular for a reason because they're so much fun, and that's what got me interested in betta fish. What advice would you give to somebody that wanted to start breeding bettas? Oh man, let's see. I think it would be to start small. Start with just like one spawn. I dove into it really fast and I started with like 5 spawns and I've never looked back. But I feel like just starting with just one pair of fish, one spawn, and get the hang of things, get some practice in. Start small. That's my tiny little tidbit. Also start with a good pair, I think is a really good place to start. What would you do different now when looking back at your first spawn? You know, I don't really know. I've made mistakes before. I've definitely made mistakes. Terrible mistakes with huge losses. But besides just not making mistakes, I can't think of anything like I do different. Keep going. Keep going, you're doing great on the challenge. Thank you. First name, last name asks, what aquatic creatures other than bettas do you own? Oh, let's see, I have guppies, I have white clouds, I have a few tetras, snails, just kind of a hodgepodge of other little guys. I have some least killifish, which are Heterandria formosa, that I really think are super cute, and that's about it. Mostly just bettas. PXS1919 asks, would you get any other reptiles or even any other types of fish besides bettas? Yes, I would love to try other species of geckos. I really like geckos. They're super cute, and I really feel connected to geckos. And then as for other fish, there are other fish I would like to try. I'd like to try some varieties of paradise fish, which aren't very common in the United States. I'm having a really hard time finding this particular variety. I'd also love to have like a dwarf or a pygmy flowerhorn, just because it's so much personality packed into such a weird little creature. And of course, there's other fish I'd love to have and experiment with, but those two are just kind of on the top of my list. Aiden Robinette asks, is it possible to breed bettas from stores like Walmart, Petco, PetSmart? So basically, is it possible to get fish from those big box stores and then breed them together? Yes, absolutely, it's possible if you find yourself a healthy looking fish that looks good, that its form is nice, it looks like it's just healthy and pretty young. I don't see why, you couldn't breed it at all. It's really nice knowing the background of your fish if you have a particular goal in mind, but it is possible to breed fish that you find in pet stores. And how many times can you breed a spawn of bettas down the line before it becomes inbreeding and there's deformities? So I get this question a lot, and every time I get it, I'm like, oh, I should really make a video about that. But when it comes to inbreeding fish, it's not quite like inbreeding mammals or inbreeding people. I think they're a lot more simple and you can do it more. For me, if I started out with one pair, I feel like I could, spawn them and then spawn 2 siblings and then spawn 2 siblings and then spawn 2 siblings. Probably for like 4 or 5 generations before I started to feel like, I need to outcross. That's how I personally feel. A lot of fish breeders, especially guppy breeders, keep multiple lines of the same variety of fish. That way, when they want to outcross to a different line and bring in new genetics, you're outcrossing to a line that you know the background of. It's not like you have a new fish with a new background who's going to bring all kinds of weird things you don't want into your line. In the short story, inbreeding fish is fine to an extent if you do it properly. I should really make a more detailed video about it. Tot Halambam Ronald asks, can I breed HMPK, which is half moon placots, with other bettas? And by other bettas, I assume that you're talking about other like fin types, like you want to breed a short finned half moon placot to something like a crown tail or a long fin half moon. Absolutely. They're all the same species of fish, the Betta splendens, but when you breed the different tail types together, it's still Betta splendens. They're just going to have different traits that affect the tail type. Dark Horse asks, why do you have so many Bettas? It's a problem, Dark Horse. I don't know. Morgan asks, what are your Harry Potter houses in your family? Oh, what is your Patronus? So I'd like to think that I'm like this noble, strong Gryffindor, but I'd probably be put in Hufflepuff. My Patronus, maybe a Chihuahua or a Betta fish. As for like the husband and child, I'd have to think about it. Maybe Ravenclaw and another Hufflepuff. And then my husband's Patronus would be an octopus, and my little girl's Patronus would be a Pikachu. Also, do you plan on getting any different types of wild bettas? Well, I do have Mahachai, Smaragdina guitar, and Macrostoma. Some are more scarce than others, and there are conservation efforts going on for some different species. Some are part of the CARES program. But the ones I have are Mahachai, Smaragdina guitar, and also Macrostoma. Here's a bunch of questions. Anais Angot. Does Riley sometimes help you with your aquarium chores? Yes, my toddler helps me sometimes. Helps. Is your husband into fish? No, but he likes looking at the fish that I take care of. Have you ever had African dwarf frogs? Nope. Have you ever had a Betta sorority? I think is that question. Yes, I do have Betta sororities with spawn mates who've never been separated from each other, and I have pretty good results. What could stop you from breeding Bettas? I don't know. Moving, maybe? Not having space? Oh, I'd make space. I'd make room. I'd make it work. I don't think anything could stop me. Would I ship to worm cultures to Canada? Oh, that's a little bit risky. I don't know. It'd be pretty expensive. It might get caught in customs. There are a lot of different things to think about there. So I don't know. Sarah Silver asks, how many different lineages of Bettas do you have? Oh, gosh. How many different ones do I have? I have different amounts at different times because sometimes I gain interest, I lose interest. I change my mind about what I like the most. Right now, off the top of my head, I have a really pretty red half moon line which has koi in it, and I'm really trying to breed it for the koi. So there's one. I have blue and white and yellow long fin half moons. I have koi. I have reds. I have a spade tail line that I'm just working on. It's kind of an experiment. I have golds. I have like yellow marbles. I have a whole bunch right now. I don't know off the top of my head just how many. Carrie Thompson says, my bed is in a 5-gallon tank. I change the water once a week. Is that not enough? His fins look a little frayed. Oh gosh, once a week water change in a 5-gallon tank. I assume you have a filter. I assume it's pretty mature. Should be just fine. Especially if you're not like feeding a ton, you're not overfeeding, there's not a bunch of waste in the bottom. I think it's just fine. If his fins look a little bit frayed, he could be biting them. If you don't see like a nasty looking black rot on the end of it, it's probably he's biting them or it's getting caught on something in the tank. Baby, don't drink water when I'm filming. CB, when is that copper spawn going to be available? Pretty soon. Huma Shahid, where did you learn so much about Betta and plants? Also, why? I learned so much all over the place, reading books, reading forums, reading website articles, watching other people, asking other people. Plants, same thing. Same thing. And why? I don't know. Maggie Willerson asks, how do you balance a fish room business and channel with a family? Doesn't it get to be too much? Oh my goodness. It's a lot. Sometimes it's a little bit too much. Sometimes I feel like pulling my hair out. Sometimes I regret everything that I do. Sometimes all I do is lay on the couch and I don't do any responsibilities whatsoever. I just think that managing all these things comes from a place of passion. I think you have to be passionate about something like this. I mean, it's not like it's earning me a ton of money. It's not like it's my main source of income. It's more like I just enjoy it, and I enjoy the feeling of it, and I enjoy the challenge of it. Of course, I always put family first, but then comes chores, and I'm really good at doing chores all the time. I'm a busybody. Betta Guy says, I was told it's... Stop. Phoebe's hungry. I was told it's bad for bettas to share water in things like split tanks because of the hormones they produce. I don't think so. You know, I've heard the whole growth inhibition type rumor about keeping spawns of fish together, baby fish together, but I don't know just how much like science there is behind that to prove that. I'm not 100% sure about that. But as for keeping like two fish together in a divided tank, don't worry about it. Just do it. Davin Evans, how many fish do you have? I don't know. A whole lot. AK Hawk 003, what was your first betta fish? What was his or her name? So my first betta fish, I was a little kid. And of course it was one of those fish that was sold in like the vases at Walmart. I got as a present with the plant above it, with no care instructions. I mean, I was little. That was a long time ago. The first betta fish that I had on purpose when I was an adult, it was a black dragon half-moon plakat I got from like Petco. It was my desk buddy when I was working full-time in the game industry. And I thought it was a female, so I named it Sylvia. Turns out I think it was a male half-moon plakat. But Sylvia was my little desk buddy. And then I moved away from Austin, Texas, and I gave Sylvia to a coworker of mine. Amalia Miller asks, how did you become a fish breeder? Well, it's the hardest thing about being one. How did I do it? I was just interested in it, and I pursued my interest, and I became one. What's the hardest thing about being one? It's probably about the constant responsibility that comes with just owning animals. It's constant. Team Marine says, when did you start fish keeping? What inspired you to start your channel? Oh, let's see. I've been fish keeping on and off very not seriously throughout my life. As for serious fish keeping, I started maybe like 3 years ago. What inspired me to start my channel was watching YouTube and watching other people having fun fish channels and having fun and wanting to do that. I blame Jeanne from Inglorious Bettas. Also, Rachel O'Leary. It's all their fault. Shay Sweet. I've already answered one, so I'm going to answer, if you could go anywhere on vacation, where would you go? The beach or the jungle. Somewhere relaxing, but somewhere where I can also have a little bit of adventure. What is your next big project going to be? Most likely a cool big themed tank. Just like the Hobbit tank that I did a little while ago, I'd have another one. Different theme though, but still cool. Blammer says, you're like a super mom, business lady. How did you achieve so much during the day? Wow. I'm crazy. And time management, I'm not the best at it, but I'm pretty good at it. At keeping a little schedule in my head of things. Oh, I have to do this today, I have to do this today, I have to do this today. I'm pretty good about it. But sometimes it's exhausting. Mary S., what do you do for work, Taylor? Oh, gosh. I work part-time on the weekends. I'm a full-time mom. I do like website work and web design. I do YouTube. I have an online store, simplybetta.com, where I sell things. I ship things out during the week. That's pretty much my job. The full-time mom is actually kind of the hardest part. Madison Byrne, how do you not blow a fuse with all the filters and lights and heaters plugged in? I actually don't have that high of a load, actually. So the most power-consuming things in my fish room are my electric heater, my dehumidifier, and my air pump. My air pump powers everything, all the filters in my fish room, so it's just the air pump. I also have heaters, but they're not working very hard. Like, they're just increasing the temperature by a few degrees. So at the end of the day, like, the power load isn't very high, and my lights are all LED lights, which don't draw very much power. So I do a good job. I've never had anything bad happen. Knock on wood. Jacob Carlson says, I've had several betta fish, but I've never had good luck with them. Any other tips? Any tips? Well, make sure their water is warm and clean, and you have a mature sponge filter for your tank, hopefully. And also, like, your filter maybe not very high powered. Make sure you're getting healthy fish. That's all I can really offer. Sammy asks, what do you think about breeding fish from pet stores? I think I've already answered that, but it's possible. Just make sure that what you have looks like a quality fish. Matthew Vaughn asks, where do your fish come from? Let's see, my fish come from other hobbyists in the US who I buy from, who like I know they can tell me the background of the fish. Also, I import sometimes. Also, you know, once you have a little bit of a selection like I do, you need less and less fish because you have so many options to choose from. But so I kind of get fish from all over the place. Matthew Grob, what are some of your favorite fish to have that are compatible with bettas? Well, I don't keep my bettas with other fish. They live solo, but I have had female bettas with guppies and also with some tetras. Kate Oakes asks, do Dumbo crowntail bettas exist? Oh gosh, you know, I'm not 100% sure. So a Dumbo crowntail most likely wouldn't be something that is very common in the pet store, so you might not see it very often. It's not one of like the mass-produced ones. Kind of like how the short fin Dumbos aren't very mass-produced either. It's kind of hard to come by those guys. But I'm sure there's somebody out there working with crowntail Dumbos. I'm just not sure. Just Another Insect Nerd asks, I already answered one of those. How was your first spawn? My first spawn went pretty well. I remember it was a red spawn, and I had a whole bunch of babies. Yeah, it went well. I did my research first, though, before I did that. What's your favorite betta morph? So like my favorite variety. It changes all the time. Right now I'm absolutely loving beautiful marbles and koi and goldens. How It's Hamad asks, how many betta pairs should I start with to have a successful breeding? Just one. You start with one pair, provided they're a good pair, and start there. Should I leave the light on at night while they're breeding? No, I turn my lights off at night. Or to give the fish like a little bit of a rest, and I have good results. Lunar Betta asks, are you a member of the IBC? Not yet. Like I keep postponing when I'm gonna join. I would like to join and show my fish, but I just don't feel like what I have is gonna win anything. That might be silly. Like I should just do it. What's Horn Betta? Oh, probably a beautiful golden betta with a deep yellow undertone is one of my golden, beautiful unicorn fish. Also, spade tails with like a really, really pronounced spade tail. Have you ever felt burned out or overwhelmed when having so many bettas to take care of? It happens. But I try my best to just power through it. What's the first piece of advice you'd give someone interested in breeding bettas? Probably to research as much as you possibly can before you start. That way there's less possibility of making mistakes. I always recommend people to go check out the Inglorious Betta's website and also bettaterritory.nl. Those are my two favorite sites. Like I learned a lot off these sites when I was first learning, so I always recommend those. Spiky Dog Collar asks, is there a conservation organization for wild bettas? There's the CARES program, C-A-R-E-S, CARES program, which I might suggest looking up. They work with at-risk species, not just bettas, but there's some bettas in there. Which wild bettas are easiest to breed? Well, the ones that require the least work are probably mouth brooders, in my opinion. Where have you gotten your various containers, and what's the best for someone on a budget? I've gotten the majority of mine from Priority Plastics, which is a manufacturer in Colorado, I think. I don't really remember. But they have a small order section where you can just buy containers by the case. I've also heard of people finding pretty good deals at the dollar store. I mean, heck, you could use milk jugs, so you could use anything. Cindy Pittman asks, what's the best water temperature for bettas? I would say high 70s to low 80s is what I usually recommend. Emo Child asks, what motivates you to keep fish? There's just something about them that I really like. Maybe for bettas, it's knowing about the genetics and the recessive and the dominance, and they're like a little puzzle. And they're beautiful, and I think that's just why I like fish. I just love the little ecosystems I can make. The fish and my plants. So it's kind of hard to explain, but it's just what I'm drawn to. It's like animal husbandry is what I'm interested in, and fish are just one of my favorite things to think about. I think I'm gonna wrap up my Q&A. I did a whole bunch of questions. Hopefully I did, a satisfactory amount, and I answered the general questions people had for me. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you if you've been staying tuned on the February Daily Video Challenge. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of work, and I'm gonna take a little bit of a break now. So maybe I will post again next week, but I'm gonna start doing more quality over quantity content again, like my channel usually is. But this has been, good practice. It's been good for me to do this, but I'm sure happy that it's done, because it's time for me to take a little rest. Because I might be like a super crazy multitasker go-getter, but it's kind of nice being lazy every now and then too. It's good for the brain, good for the soul. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to have some pretty cool projects coming up in the future. Have a great day.